First of all, if someone is planning to get into product management right now, I would say don't do it. Say recruiters' needs are still basic. Now the HRs are speaking that language.
Leaves the organization before 6 months, you don't get the compensation.
If you're trying to build any use case with AI, know the limitations of it, what it can do, what it can't. By the way, you are just a PM who executes stuff. And no one has said, give me AI use case. People will always say, this is my problem. You solve it for me. I don't care how you solve it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ignition. This is Varun Pandey, where we talk about you and AI and call upon industry leaders to talk about, share insights about how AI is going to evolve and change the way we build products. And today we have someone very special to me who serves as a mentor to a large product community called Product Coffee Group and has been very instrumental while I was transitioning into as a product manager. Welcome, Mr. Ravishankar, who is an MBA grad from IIM Lucknow and currently serving as a senior product manager at Foundit, formerly known as Monster.com. Currently heading and has an experience
Mm.
across industries. So, welcome, Ravi. Thanks a lot for taking out your time during a weekday. I know you're jumping between meetings. Welcome to Ignition. How are you feeling?
Hey, hi, Varun. Thanks for having me over. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I was looking forward to the conversation between you and me. And we had a lot of conversation where you have guided with me during very instrumental moment while I was transitioning as a product manager, right? Just for the betterment of our audience, you have been a graduate from IIM Lucknow and worked across industry, donned multiple hats. What sparked the transition into as a product manager into product management?
It is not a very interesting story, by the way, but I'll still tell it. Okay, it happened in 2019. So right after my B school, I got into logistics. I worked for a firm called Revivo, and that was a pure ground operations role, and it was not a product management role. Okay, and after that, I wanted to get into tech, and I wanted to go into the logistics industry as a consultant, tech consultant. That was my aim. That is when I joined my next firm called as Thousand. So they asked me to temporarily manage a project for a global FMCG. Okay. And that role eventually turned into a product management. In 2019, product management is not a very defined role
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
India. Few companies had Amazon, Walmart, and these companies had,
Yeah.
but bulk of the product companies were non-existent. They had a project manager as a role or a product owner as a role. Product manager as a role was not very prevalent. Okay,
Right.
so that is when I got into product management, and then gradually it started evolving.
So you were one of the most early adopters into the role. Like you had an advantage when we speak about, how the role looks like, or let's say how are the expectations? Because right now it's kind of a very flooded and hotshot role. Everyone right out of the business schools or let's say the BTech degrees is chasing it, right? So, Ravi, hiring has changed a lot post-COVID, and especially how the users engage, specifically when we talk about the job seekers and the recruiters. So, as a
Mm.
product manager for the platform, how do you build for something which fits the user needs?
Around, I've been in the HR tech space for about a year and a year, 1.5 years. Okay. So
Hmm.
I'll try my best to answer that. But I am also a seeker. We've all been a seeker. We all apply for a job, right? So
Hmm.
I'll give my perspective on it. So from a recruiter point of view, if you see, recruiters want only the basic thing right now. If you ask me, all they want is when they are, looking to fill a position, they
Hmm.
want an updated and relevant database, right? Basically, any job boards in the world, Naukri, Foundit, LinkedIn, right? What they do is they go search for candidates and then they reach out,
Hmm.
right? Or they post the job and they look at the applications, right? They
Hmm.
want updated and relevant database. That is their primary ask, and that has not changed,
Hmm.
right? Because if you look at the industry, more than 50% of people who are paying money for recruitment are
Yeah.
the placement agencies. I'm talking about the
Okay.
market leaders of India. If you look at that,
Okay.
right? Even big companies, they hire recruitment agencies to get their positions filled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
so that is a market that we are in. So I would say
Hmm.
recruiters' needs are still basic, right?
Hmm.
At the same time, what has happened is for any hiring that they close, right? Usually, this is seekers market. right? A seeker
Mm-hmm.
will at least
Right.
have 2 to 3 offers, good, really good people.
The one who
That
are
has become
experienced, the one who are experienced, right?
ex- exactly.
Yeah.
So even 1 2 years of experience, I'm telling, for that particular level, they
Mm.
will only be looking at that particular pool of people, right?
Mm.
So there are now the seekers have access to a lot of learning resources online,
Right.
right? So you can learn about how to crack interviews
Right.
well, what sort of question they prepare really well compared to like 5 or 10 years ago.
Right.
Right. So if a guy is good at that, so most probably he's going to get more than one offer. Recruiters want to close the position as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they want a updated and relevant database, and they want to close the position as soon as possible. That is the direction in which it is going right now compared to
Right.
5 to 10 years ago. That is not the
Right.
case.
Right.
And previously, recruiters can wait for about 2 to 3 months until the seekers join. Now that is not the case. Almost every requirement they want to close it in a week or so. That
Okay.
is the direction, right? So
Mm.
they prefer immediate joins. There's no
Mm.
doubt about it, right?
Mm.
From a seeker point of view, if you look at the hiring, right? Earlier, if you're from a particular B school, right,
Mm.
that is sufficient to crack a certain role. If you want to get into a product management, okay, good degrees from good B school
Right.
or an ID background, that is sufficient. Now that is not the case. Domain like product management.
Mm.
Now there is a plethora of people, if you ask me, right?
Mm.
So many people are there in product right now.
Mm.
So the hiring needs are becoming very very specific. If you have a
Mm.
product management experience, they will look for whether do you have domain experience or not.
Mm.
Now, what I have felt recently is, do you have subdomain experience? So what do I mean? If you have worked in a fintech product, fine. Okay. In fintech, have you worked in onboarding,
Okay.
merchant onboarding? So that
Mm.
is one example I'm telling you. Like that subdomain experience, do you have or not? Or have you specifically worked in growth? Have you
Mm.
specifically worked in retention? Now the
Mm.
HRs are speaking that language, the product
Mm.
language, when even reaching out to the seekers.
Right.
So seekers need to build that sort of an expertise, I would say,
Mm.
from an interview point of view and cracking the interview. But from a
Mm.
long-term skills point of view, what will make you, do well at job is that still remains the same, right?
Mm.
You should be a problem solver, having a structured approach to getting things done. That still
Mm.
remains the same.
Mm.
But if you want to crack an interview, just having that PM experience of 1 or 2 years, it's going to be very difficult for you. Try to stick with one company or one domain, gain that expertise, and
Mm.
then try to shift. That would be my answer.
So you were talking about these recruitment agencies. So these agencies kind of hurt your business a lot, or are they just manageable? Like, to be very honest, if
Mm,
you can tell as a product manager, are they much of
okay.
a headache for you? Or let's say these are just, yeah, like
Mm.
manageable business.
So when it comes to HR tech, right? Currently, I won't name the companies and all. Okay.
Yeah.
Even the market leaders, they get bulk of their revenue from recruitment agencies.
Okay.
Bulk of their revenues. In terms of strictly in terms of number of users, if you see, more than 50% of their users
Right.
will be recruitment agencies. They are
Okay.
not big companies. Big companies ticket size might be high, like they will
Right.
have a 3 year, 5 year contract worth crores, But
Right.
recruitment agencies, they are the ones. Like I mentioned, it is becoming very difficult for recruiters to hire people. Even if they hire, they're leaving,
True, true.
right?
The
So they
attrition rate
don't.
is very high.
That is the reason these recruitment agencies are,
Mm.
popping up because they get paid for, the number
Mm.
of positions they close,
Right.
right? So that is why they are outsourcing, I would say.
I'm even like I've worked as a recruiter, so even before your lead, leaves the organization before 6 months, you don't get the compensation. So that's
Exactly.
a big headache for the ones who are actually recruitment agencies. So Ravi, actually, you being a seasoned product manager with 10 years of is your mental models and the frameworks you keep, especially while devising, or let's say devising AI features onto your platform. So can you
Mm.
share any three mental models or frameworks which, beginners like us or aspiring product managers can learn from in general?
Okay. See, usually all these jargons and frameworks, mental models, I'm not a big fan of it, to be
Okay.
really frank, because giving that name, this is the framework we should follow. This is
Yeah.
invented by so and so. I won't say that. Okay. I'm not a big follower as well.
Okay.
But if you closely look at any of those mental models or frameworks, right?
Yeah.
All of them, they try to give you a structured approach
Mm.
about problem solving. Simple.
Right.
Right. They you might have multiple given to, for example, rice matrix. Rice
Right.
matrix is what reach impact. There is a formula to it: reach into impact into confidence divided by effort.
Mm.
But if you look at it,
Mm.
what is a rice matrix? It's simply what output by input. and you have to choose something which will give you more output for the input. Like even most of our Indian businessmen know, right? Wherever they get more profit, right,
Mm.
they're going to invest there.
Mm.
Any investment in mutual funds or in a stocks, whichever gives you better return in the shortest amount of time, you're going to do that, right? So
Mm.
output has to be high, input. So that is what rice matrix is, right? I just
Right.
gave an example about why you should not look at the jargons, try to
Mm.
understand the basics of it, right?
Right.
Having said that, if you ask me what is my mental model as a product manager, and it doesn't vary between an AI feature and non-AI feature, the
Huh.
framework or approach still remains the same. If you ask me,
Okay. Okay.
okay, first start with the why. I mean, why
Mm.
do you want to implement this feature? Okay,
Mm.
usually there is a goal, right? There is a product goal that you want to achieve. Like, I
Right.
want to increase my users by so and so, right?
Mm.
Why do you want to? Like, okay, my number is not doing that well.
Yeah.
I'm giving an example, like 1 million users per day. I want to increase by so and so. Okay, so there could be multiple hypotheses or product features you want to build, right?
Mm.
How do you narrow down on that? What makes the most sense out of it? If you ask me, output to input in a simple way, that is where I would start, right? And why do I want to do, right? And which feature I should choose
Mm.
basis the output to input ratio,
Mm.
right? And then that is where I would start, and then rest of the things are pretty easy. I won't, give you exactly you have to follow these steps in feature and all that. But
Mm.
when it comes to AI feature as such, right, the most important thing that you should think about is the
Mm.
fitment. Actually, you cannot go
Mm.
AI first into everything. I strongly believe use case needs to match, right?
Mm.
um, if there is, because AI can do a lot of things now. Even 25% of the coding in Google is done by AI.
Right. So
We
my
are It's
basic intention,
exponentially
Ravi, to ask
exploding.
this question was na devising AI features which are not just eye candy, but actually relevant for business needs and user impact at the same time. So if
Hmm.
you could add that
Exactly.
tangent to your answer, that would be very
Hmm.
great to hear.
See, there are multiple AI use cases available, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, if you're building a chatbot, AIs are pretty good at that, right?
Yeah.
Very good at that. Just plug
Mm.
in GPT, you can build multiple use cases. But the
Right.
same AI can't be utilized in a place where accuracy is very, very important. It's very, very critical. Most people overlook that, and then it's fine. Even if it's 80%, 85% accuracy, well, let's just go
Mm.
with the model. But
Mm.
if that 15% inaccuracy hurts your business, right,
Mm.
that is where people generally overlook. They kind of overestimate the AI in certain areas and underestimate in an area where they should use it. So
Okay.
understanding the use case and the limitations is critical, very, very important.
Mm.
Don't dive in with a first approach. I won't say what is the pain point you're trying to solve. Start with that and check whether AI can solve it or not,
Mm.
right? And AI, many companies are using it as a buzzword to just
Right.
go and then
AI
sell it.
agents
That is
are all
normal.
around the world.
E- every So I think people should take a step back and
Mm.
look at it from an use case point of view. That is what, because ultimately, if you look at any users of any product,
Mm.
if you ask me, basis my interaction with users from different domains, I've been a PM for 5+ years, and no
Mm.
one has said, give me AI use case. People will always
Mm.
say, this is my problem, you solve it for
Mm.
me. I don't care how you solve it,
Mm.
right? If AI can solve it, great, right? I think
Mm.
that should be the approach when it comes to AI, I
Mm.
would say. And then
Mm.
there are certain use cases where it's very good in terms of productivity, efficiency. There you can directly start.
So Ravi, how do
Okay.
you discover that particular product discovery? Like, here is where I can sort of imbibe AI and maybe optimize on the platform. I mean, like any particular frameworks or mental models here you have, because there's certain you have to follow, whether it be through intuition, guts, or let's say your know-how from your experience.
See, again, I won't say any, give you any framework and all.
Yeah.
Maybe a data scientist or an AI product manager, right? I've implemented few use cases. They might be able to give you, ready-made answers of, follow step one, step two, step three. For
Right.
me, again, like I mentioned, right? If you're trying to build any use case with AI, know
Mm.
the limitations of it, what it can do, what it can't. That
Right.
is a basic thing.
Mm.
Anyone will know. Any data scientist, your team will know. So
Right.
that is my point. Start with the limitations and then try to match it with the pain point. Then
Okay.
you think about how to build a feature out of
So looking back, Ravi, at your experience, is there any particular roadblock or any particular crucial learning from your experience which you still carry as a learning right now as a product leader? Any particular experience? Because most
it. Okay.
of us product managers have this habit of learning through pain and self introspection, I feel.
Well, I'm not a product leader. I heard that word somewhere. I'm still a novice, I would
You
say.
are very humble,
Lots
I
to
know
learn.
that, Ravi.
No, I don't think there is. See, I think other people should call you as a leader, right? There is no designation as such as a leader.
Yeah.
People should call you, all right? Answering the question, right? So, as a product manager, there was one incident that I want to highlight. I won't name the company now. We were building an analytics product
Oh.
for a global FMCG. We were just trying to basically, copy paste a product in the market
Hmm.
and then do it. And that it has been a very top down approach, and they wanted us to just blindly copy, do it, deliver, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, led to a lot of delay with implementation. And when we went live, there were a lot of bugs. When we gave it to the users,
Hmm.
they didn't use it. They didn't use it as well
Hmm.
due to many reasons.
Hmm.
We had to again go back to the primary fundamental question about the user
Right.
needs. What do they actually want?
Right.
And then rebuild. That led to a lot of delay. And I should have maybe asked the right question at the right time. Okay,
Hmm.
if you are deciding a certain feature to build, do the users really want it or not? Even if the leaders are pushing back,
Hmm.
raising that flag and saying, hey, why?
Hmm.
Asking that question.
Hmm.
I think that is a very, I never did that in that role, to be really frank. Maybe if I had asked that question at that
Hmm.
point of time, right, we could have saved a lot of time, money, and we could have built something really great, right? The
Hmm.
iteration time could have reduced it.
True.
So that is my fundamental learning, I would say, right?
Hmm.
Especially that I'm giving a very generic, way
Hmm.
for the viewers, right? As a product manager, your job is to, you know, initial phases. There will be a lot of people stuffing things on you. Do
Hmm.
this. Always
Hmm.
try to make sense out of why.
Hmm.
Sometimes it could benefit the company and not the user. Still, that is fine. There is some
Hmm.
benefit out of it.
Hmm.
If you're building a feature which doesn't benefit anyone, users nahi, company nahi, like you can't make that mistake, right?
Hmm.
That is where I would say ask the question why, push back, take a data driven approach, and then start the build.
Ravi, but sometimes in between all this, a product manager, even if he's looking for the truth and he knows the truth, sometimes have to give in to the pressure of the stakeholders. And it
Hmm.
depends a lot on the product culture also. I'll say that. But how do you, as a seasoned product manager, have dealt, or let's say, how do you deal with it when a
Hmm.
stakeholder is hell bent on pushing some feature which you feel backed by data is not that relevant or won't be a successful one? So in these
Okay.
sticky situation, how do your product gut calls out?
This is with any role, any company. Almost all the product managers need to go through this. That is why
But
I
we are
wanted to
known to be very
give a very,
diplomatic as product managers, right? We have to sort of
yeah,
sugarcoat it
yeah.
and then tell, right?
Uh,
That's the sticky
exactly,
thing.
exactly. First of all, you need to gain the confidence of your leadership and your boss and your manager. That's primarily the reason why whatever you're saying is not being listened, even if you make total sense. The second part is there is, of course, leadership, or they feel they want to do something, just go ahead and go ahead do it. Try to look at it from their point of view as well. I would say I have been a little bit cocky, especially during the initial product management. I know what I want. I'm a PM. You don't know. You're sitting just somewhere, anything. You don't talk to the users. How do you know? I would say 50 to 70% is just pure my cockiness. I didn't think, look at it from the leadership's point of view.
Yeah.
Why are they saying that? What do they want? If you
Mm.
understand that strategy, and I think you something most of the times it will make sense, right?
Right.
They could be wrong.
Mm.
That I would say 20 to 30% of that you can't do. You don't have any control over. By
Right.
the way, you are just a PM who executes stuff,
Right.
right? That 80% of the time, if you think about it and try to get their buy-in, usually there is a discussion, right? Their goal is maybe, okay, I have recently taken over a product. I want to improve the user base, right?
Mm.
They would have an approach.
Mm.
Usually there is a discussion. It's not like,
Mm.
okay, do this. That usually that people don't say that. There is some discussion at that time. As a PM, you need to look into the data. You do the user research. Don't expect the design team to do benchmark and come back. You go and do the research, try to get some data, and then pitch your okay, this is what I think we should do. This is my suggestion. All
Right.
right, and after that, whatever call is being taken by others, you have zero control over it. Just
Right.
go with it, I would say.
Right. But sometimes after the things have gone live, we are the only ones who will face the music, right?
See,
So,
it is a thankless job. It is a
yeah.
thankless job. Most of the decisions are not taken by PM, even though it looks like it.
Hmm.
Right, someone else takes, but if something goes right, there'll be a lot of people to take the
Right.
appreciation. Yes,
Right.
I
Right.
did that. I
Yeah.
something goes wrong, the person that gets screwed
Yeah.
is PM. That is what I'm
Hmm.
telling. It is a thankless job, and that is the nature of the job. You can't change it.
The last
Okay.
question for you would be any pearls of wisdom for the ones who are actually aspiring to be into this domain of product, and especially with regards to how the world is going to change, let's say with regards to AI in the next few years, how should they prepare with regards to, whether it comes to the technical acumen or otherwise, the soft skill part?
First of all, if someone is planning to get into product management right now, I would
Hmm.
say don't do it. Don't
Okay.
even come into the domain. That's
Acha.
my advice.
Is it?
I have said this multiple times to many people, but people don't listen and they come into product management and then they suffer. All right.
Oh.
The reason also I'll tell you.
Huh.
See, it is a very crowded space. All right. You
Hmm.
know very well.
Yeah.
We used to have the conversation, right? It's a very
Hmm.
crowded space. There is no entry criteria now. Right.
Hmm.
If you can speak well and throw some jargons, I know double A, triple R, this metrics, this framework, mental model, you
Hmm.
can easily crack an APM role. That is but it's getting tougher right now. So
Hmm.
2, 3 years ago, for product management, I'll tell you, right, if you have a degree from a certain
Hmm.
B school background, you can know and read data, understand data, you get a PM job.
Hmm.
Okay. I'll give you the evaluation. Then it became like if you can create a deck, right? There is a
Hmm.
tier down deck. Even that is how I got my first PM job.
Hmm.
If you can create a tier down, submit to the HR, submit to the hiring manager, you'll get the PM job.
Hmm.
Now you need to build a product. If you don't have any PM experience, build a product, improve some metric, there is a decent chance, right?
Hmm.
Look at the evolution of a simple
Right.
role like AP.
Right.
You need to
Right.
do so much because the entry criteria is not there. Now I
Hmm.
feel it's becoming way too crowded and it's becoming way too generic as well. In the
Hmm.
sense, I'll just analyze the data, talk to users, and then build the product. Yes, those are the fundamentals. But now the industry folks, right, there are so many people with specific level of experience.
Hmm.
Specifically in fintech, I have onboarding, merchant onboarding alone I have experience, identity and access management alone I have experience. So
Hmm.
there are big people with it. So they will always get a preference actually,
Right.
right? That's point about it. It's getting way too crowded. And I feel as a management as a function is going to get evolved into way too specific, way
Okay.
too subdomain specific in future. That is what I see.
Hmm.
Right. A generic functional PM, your those guys will be like gone. Right. That is the reason why project management as a functionality has reduced actually. We used to have project managers, product owners, right? Though they're very less actually
Hmm.
because they are not primarily customer facing. And
Hmm.
that is when people became, it became a product management role, right? Now
Hmm.
from here, it is going to be very subdomain or domain specific. Now with AI coming into the picture, you need
Hmm.
to understand the use cases and you need to understand the technicalities as well. Now the technical PM is a lot in demand if you ask me. There
Okay.
are very less people who can speak, the technology behind it when implementing a use case, while implementing a feature.
Hmm.
So that is why I feel since it is becoming very narrow and domain specific,
Hmm.
usually I would suggest people not to come. Having said that, if they still want to come, right,
Hmm.
my suggestion would be very clear with the basics and fundamentals,
Hmm.
right? Because people think just by knowing the jargons and mental models, I can crack any interview. You might crack, but after coming in, you will suffer, right? You
Hmm.
have to genuinely love the job. Like I mentioned, it is a thankless
Hmm.
job, right?
Correct.
For product are you okay with
Very
that?
intense,
First of
very
all,
gruesome.
exactly. Are you okay with that? I think that is a question that you guys should answer before
Hmm.
choosing to come in. So
Right.
understand the basics and fundamentals, and try
Hmm.
to get into a specific subdomain is what I would say, especially on the tech side of it.
Hmm.
Right now, AI product management is, even though it's AI product management, it's Chat GPT product management in
Hmm.
India.
Hmm.
That is the reality. At least understand that, right? So that would be my answer.
Between all this, Ravi, there's also a problem that a lot of companies, the product culture in India is also right now evolving. I feel a lot of companies have that designation, maybe to impress the investors that they are hiring product managers and all that. But sorry to
Mm,
say, a lot of them don't know how to actually give them roles, or let's say what kind of responsibility they should execute, right? I mean, like, a lot of PMs are doing the jobs of a lot of, other roles like project managers, or let's say they're just mediating between the stakeholders and all that, rather than actually owning up
mm,
the, product.
mm.
So, do you
Okay.
think this will
Mm.
take some more time, or is it like the saturation point is it already in India specifically?
See, if you ask me, I think one key skill set anyone should have to become a product manager, right?
Yeah.
Whatever may be the role. If they're asking you to coordinate, if not, if the role demands you to,
Mm-hmm.
all you need to do is ensure that you ship out the best feature out
Okay.
that actually solves the user problems. Just simple definition of a product manager. If it
Mm-hmm.
requires you to coordinate with sales, do it. If it
Mm-hmm.
requires you to coordinate with marketing, do it. Don't say I won't.
True.
That is my opinion, I would say. Do
Mm-hmm.
whatever it takes, but let's say whatever your role is not aligned with shipping out the right feature.
Right.
That is the reason. Then have a discussion with your manager.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Most of the company, especially in startups, right, things are not very different. You can't say I will only do this so and so.
True.
I don't adhere to that particular approach, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
why that is why you have the word manager at the second. Even though you don't
Mm-hmm.
technically manage anyone, you
Mm-hmm.
manage the situation, you
Yeah.
manage things so that you
Mm-hmm.
ship out the right feature. That would be my answer.
Well, thanks a lot, Ravi, for your time and very concise answer. We
Mm,
wrapped up pretty quickly. I think the answers were quite straight on the point. And thanks a
mm,
lot for your, time and all that weekday pay. Because I've been missing PCG sessions for a while now. I hope you take out time,
okay.
and because the effort you have taken in building that product community, I can say it's
Mm,
humongous considering he built it on his own. From the
mm,
websites, if you are an aspiring product manager, please do visit the website Product Coffee Group. He has put in a lot
mm,
of work, and especially in a time where people are actually minting money of aspiring
mm,
product manager, he literally put up free resources and actually
mm,
videos. And you can also join the community on the WhatsApp, which I'm also part of. I'm saying this as someone who's a first-hand
mm,
experience of all this and have been a
mm.
mentee of Ravi for, I guess, 3 years now. So thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Ravi.